Welcome back to Rooted in the Middle, where I talk about real life, real work, and real faith. And today, in light of Mother's Day, I am going to be talking with my mom, Paula, about mothering through different seasons of life. What it looks like, what you expect, versus how it actually ends up playing out, of you being a mom and parenting and everything that comes with it. But first I want to introduce my mom. This is Paula.
Hello.
And she is married to my dad, Brian. They've been married for over 40 years.
Yes.
Yep. And she works full time. She's raised 2 kids of her own. She has 6 grandkids, but she has numerous adult children and other young children who view her as a mother figure, a grandmother figure, an aunt. She's Aunt Paula to just about everybody if you don't call her mom or grandma. So she's kind of, I consider her an expert when it comes to parenting and mothering, and she's who I look to for advice and, as an example. She, in addition to all of that, for most of her adult life, she has worked in ministry either as a youth pastor, a teacher, a children's pastor, in some sort of capacity. She even still today works with children in church, and it's just a big part of, it's always been a huge part of her life. When I was a teenager, she was our youth pastor, and I think having her in my life as my youth pastor and my mom really kind of shaped the kind of approach I have with my teenagers. So she's been a very good influence on me for that. She works full-time. Well, is it full-time?
It's still considered full-time.
Still considered full-time outside of the home in healthcare. And I think there she's seen as probably a mother figure as well. She's pretty much depended on by just about everybody that she's around. So she's got a lot of experience to pull from when we're talking about mothering. So, when you before you have kids, or when you're a new parent or you're an expecting parent, you kind of set a lot of expectations on yourself unknowingly. And a lot of it comes in the form of what your plan is on how you're going to parent your kids. There's a lot of unintended arrogance, I would say, when you don't have kids or when you're a new parent. And I think every person that I know has at least at one point in their life said, my kid will never do that. They're never going to act like that. They're never going to get into that situation. And then, years down the road, life knocks you down a peg or two, and your kids do that thing. They behave that way. Mm-hmm. They get caught up in those situations. But like I said, in the beginning, for a fact that they're not going to, and then they do. What I've experienced as the years have gone on is just when I think I have parenting figured out, I am corrected very quickly by life and reminded that I do not have it all figured out. But that's normal. I think all of us kind of go in thinking, what, we've got the best plan. We're going to parent our kids this way, and our parenting is going to be written about in textbooks. Like we've got the right plan. Mm-hmm. We've got the right approach. We know what we're doing. But that kind of sets an expectation on you. You kind of your approach to parenting, while it's good to have a plan, everybody should have a plan. You should start somewhere. You shouldn't just go in to parenting without a plan, or without having talked to your partner or your husband or wife about, how are we going to handle these kinds of situations? Mm-hmm. You need to have a plan, but you have to also be flexible. Yes. Just if you set too high of expectations, or if you set really any expectation and you're not flexible, you kind of end up disappointed. It's very easy to end up disappointed. It turns into a goal, and then especially if you've told somebody how wonderful your child's going to be, and then they don't turn out that way, then you're kind of eating your words also. So there's guilt and expectations and pressure, just because we put them on ourselves sometimes.
We do.
Yeah.
Yes, we do.
Yeah. So I want to ask you on your, as far as where you were at early on, did you feel like you had a lot of pressure, that you put a lot of pressure on yourself when me and my brother were little?
Yeah, I think everybody does to a certain degree. You always want to try to, you want your family to be seen as the perfect family. There are no perfect families. Yeah, I had expectations, and for the most part, I was very flexible in those, watching other people parent. I had great parents. My in-laws were great people, so I had a lot of good family influence to help lead and guide through all that.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah.
I remember we had a very close relationship with all of our grandparents, and I
Yes.
remember they were all very supportive.
Very,
We were blessed in that
Yes.
aspect. And another thing as you start thinking about what your expectations are, and as your kids get older, I've started learning this now that
Yes.
the boys are teenagers. Parenting, when you're younger, you think you're parenting, what are you producing?
Right.
What kind of people are your kids going to be? What are they
Yes.
going to do? Are they going to be successful? But really, as the kids have gotten older, especially the boys, because my boys are 15 and 16, it's not always about the outcome,
Right.
but the environment that they're raised in.
Yes.
It's the environment that they have, that they're surrounded by when things don't go, when the
Yes.
outcomes don't come out as you plan
Yes.
or as you would like for them to.
Yes.
The thing to remember always is kids make mistakes.
Yes.
Parenting, one thing you have to know is kids are going to make mistakes. They're going to make choices that I wouldn't necessarily have chosen for
Yeah.
them or for myself.
Yes.
They're going, it's the same, it's the adage that everybody says and always has for generations is times aren't like they were when I was their age. So
No. And as we're sitting here talking, I'm thinking about that too. When your kids are smaller, when they're when they get past the toddler age and they start becoming more independent, they start kindergarten, going to elementary school. I think as a mom, your big thing is you want them to be accepted. You want them
Yes.
to fit in. You want them protected and all that. And I think there's, each stage that they go through, there's still that element
Yes.
of what am I focusing on here for my kids? And to me, it would always come down to a good, solid, stability type place at home.
Yeah.
Their home was their safe place.
yes.
No matter what happened, you're safe here.
Yeah. Yeah. I found one thing that we've done with the boys, which thankfully they've not thrown too much at us. I know, again, they're only 15 and 16. We got a lot of years to go. But one thing that I've stuck with and that has really worked for us is, and I've given this advice out to other people, when those situations come up that you're not anticipating, that you think they're never going to go through,
Yep.
Kids are going to make mistakes. And it's important that when they come to you with them,
Yes.
you don't react.
Right.
You respond.
You respond. You want to keep an open line of communication at all costs.
Yes.
Because once you lose that, it's hard to get it back.
Yeah.
So you always want to let your child know, I love you regardless.
Right.
But we got to work through this.
Right. Yeah, no.
There are consequences, but we got
Yeah.
to work through this.
Yeah, and there are times, and it's going to happen for everybody, whatever stage of parenting you're in. Either you recognize this, or it's going to happen, and you will you'll remember this conversation.
Yeah.
They may come to you and tell you a situation that they're in, and in your mind, it's like a cartoon megaphone going, alert, 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 and you want to and you kind of have to bite your tongue a little bit, and it's like, okay, what do they need? They're trusting me.
Yes.
They've come to me.
Yes.
We'll figure it out. And then you
Right.
kind of also, while they're, pouring their heart and soul out to you about some different things. And you're also in the meantime, multitasking as moms have to do. And you're like talking yourself off the ledge,
Yes.
going like, okay, this isn't the end of the world.
It's not the end
It's
of the
okay.
world. Yes.
It's not the worst thing that could
never
happen.
the end of the
It's
world.
never the end of the world.
Never the end of the world.
Right. And, sometimes like you said, just having that environment where they're comfortable talking to you,
Yes.
because sometimes if they don't, it's a lot of times out of a fear of like disappointment. And I've got a note on disappointment a little bit later, but
rejection, you know, you've got to make sure that your kids know they are the most important thing.
Right.
Regardless, no matter what anybody says, what anybody thinks, my child is the
Right.
most important to me.
right. And then, looking at the internalized part of that, where where we're talking about, kind of feeling pressure, or to meet expectations, whether
Yes.
someone else has put them on us or we've put them on ourselves, because it's sometimes both. Sometimes
Yes.
there are external expectations, and
Yeah.
unfortunately, not all families are supportive. And if you make a bad decision with a kid, you may hear about it from somebody. It's not really
Yes.
their business, and that's too bad, but it's real.
It's
real
real.
life. It happens.
It's real.
But it's learning through the hard topics and situations that just because the outcome isn't what you would have expected,
Yes.
it doesn't mean that you've done a bad job either.
No,
and
not at all.
And it's nothing to feel
Not at
guilty
all.
about at all.
No.
So I realized that about that time about that same time of them turning 14, 15, maybe even 12, 13, because I would say middle school.
Yeah.
You start really picking your battles. I think throughout all of their childhood, you're always picking a battle.
pick a battle.
But as the battles start getting a little bit bigger, as they grow, you're growing as a parent. And it's, sometimes you have to learn to let go of those expectations because that's not the direction that their life is going. So that's kind of like as seasons are changing,
Yes.
your involvement starts to change too.
Yes.
You have to let go as they begin to grow. Kids learn how to handle situations based on how their parents learn situations.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do.
That's a hard one to swallow, but because it again I don't want to hang forever on the pressure topic, but that's something you have to always keep in mind is how you're handling these situations. They're taking notes, whether you realize it or not. So
They are.
you also have to realize letting go means not fighting their battles.
Right. That's right.
Yeah.
And how you handle conflict as a parent, even within your marriage, your child should not know what's going on within your marriage with your spouse, your intimate time. But how you handle conflict in your own life with other people will affect them as well. If you've not gotten yourself to a place where you are able to handle your emotions, your feelings, that's going to kind of fall on them the same way.
Yeah. And they watch how you respond to other people.
Yes.
They also watch, and this I wasn't going to talk about this just yet, but I will now because it's just going there. They also watch how you internalize things that you're dealing with. They can see when you're worried about something.
Yes,
they
can.
and they can see when you won't let something go, and when something's
yes, they
consuming
do.
you. And the Bible talks about not having cast your cares on the Lord. You don't have to hold on to that anxiety. You give it to the Lord and trust Him with it. And again, that's just where we're called to be that example when we raise up our children.
Yes.
But also pouring into outside of the home, they have situations at school or in sports or with friends.
Yes.
And you have to start letting go of some of that control too.
Yes.
As a parent, you don't ever take your hand completely out.
Right.
You're always in touch with what's going
Yes.
on. Sometimes you just have to distance a little bit.
Yes.
I know when the kids, and really I think I've just always done this. The meaning of it changes, I think, as we've gone on.
Yeah.
But if there's ever been a situation at school, it's, of course I use my own discernment and think if there's a time to step in, I will step in.
Yes.
But if it's something that's typical kid things, I've always tried to give the kids the option of handling it themselves.
Yes. That's the best way to do it. If they can, if they're not being hurt, if you'll know when to step in definitely if it's getting out of hand. But if if you have a child that you can give the option to work out a situation, that will help them win many other battles in their life.
Yeah.
To be able to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've even given them the option of, okay, you've got this situation. Do you want me to handle it, or can you handle it?
Right.
And 9 times out of 10, they don't want me to handle it. Not because I'll act like a jerk or embarrass them, but because they might feel, especially the boys. The boys might feel a little embarrassed when my mom called. Yeah. But I'm always willing.
Yes.
And B, they've got the option. This gives them a little bit of control over the situation.
When you feel like you're getting overwhelmed with it, I will step in.
Right. Right. Well, and I think it also shows them that you trust them to handle it. Like it kind of empowers them to step out a little bit and be like, oh, I can talk to a grown up about this.
Part of part of you setting them up for their life, for their future, is empowering them to be that confident in themselves, to know, oh, I can handle this. I can do this. God is with me just as much as he's with my mom to get through these things. Yeah. And so,
Yep. So I don't remember a lot of times, thankfully, that I had a whole lot of conflict. As a parent, I was going to say as a parent, I don't.
No.
But you know, were there ever any times where you've had to step in, or anything that you can remember that
I can't think of anything off, that really stands out. You and Brian was always, you weren't always the most popular ones, but you always had a good group of friends around you. You weren't mean, bully, none of that type of stuff that we ever had to deal with. And you weren't really ever thankfully, on the receiving end of some of that as well. So I can't think of anything
which is okay.
Stands out. I can't. I know there was one incident I can think with Brian Wesley that what we were talking about a few minutes ago. He had a friend that was going through a rough time and was picking on him and kind of getting out of control. And I said, I can go to the school. And he's like, let me do it first. Okay.
Please don't go to the school.
If you can work this out, then we'll be good. And he did, and him and that young man are still good friends. So, things happen, and that's part of the learning process. It's part of the learning process as a parent too, to put into practice all those things that our first thing for our kids is to fight, even still.
Oh yeah.
My first thing is you mess with my kids, and I can write you off.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
I mean, that's just the way it is.
And I think that as I got older, I mean, like I said, I didn't really have a lot of conflict. And as you said, we had a very good group of kids.
Yes.
And I had tons of friends. I didn't have an enemy. I was friends with a lot of people, different circles at school. I went to a very small school, and thankfully we all really, my experience was that I didn't have any issues with school kids. Nobody was a jerk to me. I wasn't a jerk to anybody else. Yes. I hope. But
we might find out.
But a lot of the people that we spent the majority of our time with was from youth group. Yes. So we were all very close, and all of our families were very close, which probably made a very big impact.
Huge difference. That's why church is so important. Yeah. To be in a fellowship together, especially while your kids are growing up. At all times it is. But especially while your kids are growing up, to have that community that is where friends become family. Yeah. And so that is a great big help to be involved in a church with a good, strong children's program, a good, strong youth program, that believe in the power of prayer, that, you can say, hey, I need help. I need someone to pray with me over this.
Well, and you had such a good support system as a youth pastor, not only as a youth pastor, but as a fellow mom of teenagers. Yes. You had a lot of other parents willing to jump in and help, whether it was with church or personal life.
Yes.
There were times, I know my best friend growing up came to my house every single morning. She had her own house
Yes.
key to our house.
Yes.
And she came and walked to school with us. Another one of my best friends lived like 2.5 blocks away, and I could go over to their house anytime. Her mom and dad loved me like their own.
Yep.
And even our friends in the next town over that went to youth group with us, and they didn't even go to our school, I could walk in and out of their house as I pleased. I mean, through college I could. I mean, I could just, I remember walking into Steve and Judy's house, entering the code and hop right in there. And that's the environment that everybody had.
It is. And we were very blessed.
Yes.
I have to say, we were very, very blessed growing up. We had a lot. God really kept his hand on us. And like I said, I give a lot of that to parents.
Yeah. Yeah, you do. Yeah, for sure. So when thankfully, again, I didn't have a lot of conflict, but when you start, allowing your kids to start handling things and take a little bit of control of their situations, as a parent, it can also be a little scary because it's like, okay, this is where my parenting might be put to the test a little bit.
Yes.
There's an aspect of, influencing your kids being a gift.
Yes.
As well as a very heavy weight.
Yes. I've seen a meme lately about having adult children, and it goes along the lines of, boy, I bet you're so relieved that your kids are grown up. And the response is, are you kidding? I'm praying more now than I ever did.
Yeah, because times that by however many kids we have, our spouse.
Yes.
Yeah, it didn't get easier for you.
No, it's just more stuff to pray about.
Yeah.
More people to pray for every day.
Yeah.
We love it.
Yep, and it's you start you start seeing the fruits of your parenting as they get older. You start seeing the good decisions or the bad decisions.
Yes.
You start seeing the good confidence or the poor confidence. You start seeing things here and there, and from kid to kid, it could be totally different.
Oh, it is.
My two teenagers are complete
night and day.
Different ends of any spectrum that you can list. But
and then there's the one right in the middle.
One right in the middle.
Girl.
Yes, my Cora, who's our preteen, and she doesn't ever want to let anybody forget that she is a preteen.
That's right.
9 years old. She's right in the middle. She's outgoing, but she is Velcroed to my hip
All the time.
Very, very compassionate. But being able to, while it's a big responsibility to bear, it is a gift, and I want to talk about that for a second. You're able to, of course, we all know that parenting is a gift.
It is.
But as you're pouring, you get to pour life into your kids.
Yes.
You get to speak encouragement. You get to help mold their inner voice on who's inside of them. And you get to, again, as they get older, you can see, okay, I remember saying this positive thing, and they're saying it now. They're living this out. And it's encouraging, it's refreshing to be able to see some of the fruits of those labor.
Yes.
And if they're not, even if you had, just to give a little bit of advice and encouragement to everybody out there, even if you did speak all the love and encouragement into your kid, and they don't come out, or they end up going through things that are difficult, and it's like, what could I have done better? What could I have said? Sometimes, again, every kid is different.
Every kid is different.
It's not always sunshines and rainbows.
No.
It's not always it's not a formula. You can say this many right things and then they're going to be fine.
Yes.
Because there's still always that aspect of, mental health.
Yes.
And, surroundings, and maybe they don't, maybe they're not involved in everything that a lot of kids are involved in. And, it's not, because we've gone through to an extent some of this. It's easy to come down on yourself when you feel like you've done everything correctly.
Yes.
You've spoken life and encouragement.
Yes.
You've given a loving environment, and they still go through hard times. I just want to encourage everybody out there that it doesn't mean that your parenting wasn't correct, that you
No.
you failed or anything like that.
As a parent, you grow up with your kids.
Yeah.
You figure it out as you go along.
Right.
So don't be so hard on yourself.
Yeah.
Don't be so hard
Yeah.
on yourself.
Yeah, for sure. So you get to encourage. You get to encourage them. We'll go back to that. You get to encourage them. You get to love on them, and you get to see the fruit of that labor. And kids in general, they want to please their parents, even if they fight back or kick back and don't ever tell
Right.
you. Nobody wants anybody to be displeased. Nobody wants anybody, and that's not what we're not about. Creating kids who want to please their parents.
No.
But naturally, they just do, because I remember I was a kid, I did not want my mom thinking I did anything wrong. I did things wrong. But thankfully, because, even when I did miss the mark and I came to you, you never made me feel like I missed the mark. One thing that you taught me, and I'll just tell you this, if you can handle this.
I'll try.
When the way that you handled me as a teenager when I was fragile. So whether I was fragile because I had made a poor decision and was worried about the outcome,
Yeah.
or I had, whatever the situation was, I won't talk about any of that, but, when I had made poor decisions that I felt like were going to disappoint you. And when I say disappoint, you have to understand, we went to a small church that was very big on appearance.
Yes.
And I'm not talking about appearance. I'm talking about the family has to look right.
Yes.
The kids
Yeah.
can't make bad mistakes.
Yes.
And if they do, they're going to be discussed.
It's going to be discussed.
Yes. Kids are going to be taken out of the choir.
Yeah.
Families are going to be, very obviously talked about.
Yes.
So when you make bad decisions as a teenager and you're in that kind of environment, which thankfully we're not in that kind of a church situation.
No.
We've not, in my entire adult life, we've not been in a church since then that was like that. But there's that fear of, not only am I going to disappoint them, I'm going to make their life a living because now they've got to face
They've got to
all the
look at all the
people in their
people.
circle. But I remember I can picture it right now. We were in my room in the big house with my purple walls. And I remember crying and talking to you. And I said, I said something about disappointing you. And you said, oh, you'll never disappoint me. And I realized you've never said the word disappointed to me.
No.
And as a mom, the impact as a kid, it didn't give me that free pass to just go do whatever I wanted, because I knew you would always forgive me. It's not that kind of thing. It's kind of like our relationship with the Lord. It's that, okay, she knows I'm imperfect and she still loves me. She knows I'm capable of messing up and I can still come back to her.
Yeah.
And, I've always, since you said, I will never say I'm disappointed in you. I've never told my kids I'm disappointed in them, and I won't, because I remember the impact.
That word alone.
That one word. And disappointed, it's not even, it's not even that scary of a word.
No.
But the weight it holds when it comes from your parent,
Yeah.
that's a lot. That's a lot to hold.
Yeah.
But I remember the mercy and love that I felt when you had said that. Yes.
A lot of
grace.
grace.
So much.
As we've been sitting here talking, I've been thinking about that word grace. It takes a lot of grace to be a parent for yourself, for your spouse, and for your kids. It takes a lot of grace.
It really does. And in order to have grace, you have to be flexible. You have to not set those expectations too high.
Yeah. And you can set expectations.
Oh, yeah.
But when you realize, if I keep pushing, this is going to hurt them.
Yes.
So let's stop.
Right.
It's time to stop.
Well, and now, especially now that I've got teenagers and I think about different scenarios, I'm like, again, it's that whole responding versus reacting.
Yes.
When my initial reaction in my mind is, how could you do that? How could you even make this decision? How could you do this?
Yeah.
Why would you put yourself in this situation?
Yes.
The other side of me now, since, again, as I was shown grace as a parent, I can think, okay, I've been a teenager. I've made mistakes.
Yeah.
Is my life still okay?
Yes.
My life is still just fine.
Yes.
And in comparison, not that you should be comparing your children to anybody else's,
No.
but the reality is, you know, when you think about what the problems are that you have with your kid, sometimes there are other parents who wish all they had were our problems.
Yes, that's very true. That's very true.
Yeah. There's something to be said for that too. So
Yes.
when, you know, looking back, can you think of anything that, you know, maybe didn't matter, maybe that you learned didn't matter as much as you thought it maybe would, in regards to parenting or, you know, kids' mistakes and that sort of thing?
Not really. I think
you were pretty open.
I pretty much was very open about everything. We didn't have secrets.
No.
There was I don't like to live like that. So we were very honest and upfront with you and Brian. Everything was always out in the open. I don't know. I may have. The one thing that I really think about sometimes is, I know, like college stuff, you know, everybody wants their kids to succeed in college. Well, there's so many other ways to make your living now.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that I wonder about sometimes.
If we'd have worried so much about college.
Yeah. Now, God blessed us.
Oh, yeah.
And we got them through college. And
I mean, you worked extra jobs.
We worked extra.
When it wasn't fun to work, when other parents weren't working extra jobs.
We paid for it as we went along. There was no loans or no nothing. That was a God thing.
Yes.
That's a whole nother testimony that God did in our lives at that time. And I won't regret it. I don't regret it at all. Nope. But maybe, I don't know.
I could see that because I remember being kind of at the 11th hour of my senior year and like, well, I've not applied to any schools.
I think that's what I'm thinking about. But not with Brian Wesley. He kind of knew what he was doing.
Yeah, my brother went into worship ministry.
Yeah.
And I actually ended up going to the same college as him because I was like, well, I'm going to go to college. I guess I'll just go there. Which was, I could have chose a cheaper place, but
it's okay.
It was all right.
You got some good background.
I really did, and honestly, I had a good experience going to college with Brian.
Yeah.
Brian and I, we commuted, and it was an hour to downtown Cincinnati every single day. That was a
lot of prayers every day.
Yeah, and I don't know how we didn't kill each other, but I remember a lot, especially because he was a music major, and I remember having to listen. Oh, he was in the college choir. And I was too, but I didn't have to do this because I was literally just singing in the choir. I remember I had to listen to those god awful warm up CDs of him doing all these scales with different, you know, do, re, mi, you know, words through it all. I don't know how I didn't end up killing him, but you know, I wouldn't go back and change it because I really did have a good experience in college, and it gave me my foundation education. It gave me, I got my associates in psychology, which really taught me a lot.
Yeah.
I got a little bit of a biblical foundation.
There you go.
It all worked out.
You got some good time with your brother.
Yeah. I even took a few classes with him, and it's kind of a running joke that he did better in classes that we had together than I did. And I'll know, you know, this is not about parenting, but I'll share it anyway. I remember when it was my very first college test, and it was in geology. And I asked my brother, I said, Brian, I don't know what are you studying? What are you looking at? And he's like, I don't know, Becca. I don't, just read the material. I was like, well, like, are you studying vocabulary? Are you studying, like, what are you? He's like, just read it. I got like I know I got an F. I got below a 50%. He got like 104. He didn't even try. So there was that too, but I digress. Anyway, so back to motherhood. You know, because, you know.
Well, that's a part of motherhood that you have to balance being a mom when you've got one who's
so wonderful.
So wonderful.
We're joking.
No, who can excel in,
Right.
in
Easily.
something easily. And then you've got another one who struggles. Tries hard and still struggles.
Yep.
You know, that will be a challenge a
Yeah.
mom and a dad will have. How do you balance that out?
How do you balance that
You
attention?
love-
How do you
love
balance the
them
praise?
both equally.
Yeah.
You know, you don't want to shortchange the one that is
Doing great.
and make the other one feel like, well,
And
why
there's,
should I even
and there's
try?
his sister. Here's Brian and his sister. They never did that. They never did
So,
that.
you know, there's another aspect of parenting that you really have to depend on the Lord to help
You
you,
do.
balance that out. And I think our relationship with the Lord helps give us that balance that we need in family life to keep that going. And
Yeah.
you know, we've got a lot of friends, a lot of family who have the same type of scenarios, and they do excellent with it.
Oh, yeah.
So you just find out what works for you and your family.
Yeah, there's
and
not a,
don't compare yours to
anybody
someone
else's.
else's.
Absolutely, you can't.
That is probably the worst thing
Yep.
as a parent you can do.
Yep.
Is compare what you're going. Not that you can't take advice
Right.
or look and say, okay, they did that. That didn't work.
Right.
But then again, different kids, different things work.
Yeah. Well, and it's like I said in episode 2, you could look at other people in your family or your friend group, and from the outside, you're in the exact same stages of
Yep.
life, but you're going through completely different things.
Yes.
From the outside, both working, same
Yes.
number of kids,
Yes.
same age groups,
Yep.
same activities, same
Yep.
everything.
Constant.
But
yes.
you go through different. But it looks 100%
Yes.
different behind
Yes.
the veil,
It sure does.
basically.
It sure does.
Yeah. So, a lot of motherhood is, learning, setting expectations and learning, and then unlearning things.
Unlearning
You have to
things.
unlearn a lot of things.
Yes.
Relearning different things, and then just learning again. You got to adjust with each season. You have to be flexible. You have to learn the right way to parent your own children.
Yes.
They adjust, you adjust.
Yes.
They grow, you grow. You just have to kind of change your expectations.
Yes.
Just as we're starting to wrap up, I wrote down, or I put down Proverbs 22:6, which is train up a child in the way he should go, and when he's old, he will not depart from it. A lot of expectation makes you want to be able to be in control. When you set a goal or an expectation, whether or not you can meet it is all based on things you can control.
Yeah.
You can't control another human being, whether it's your child or not. You can
No.
set the parameters and the
Yes.
rules and everything, and the safe space.
Yes.
But they're an individual human being. That's why the Bible says, train up a child.
Yes.
We're not their puppet master.
Yes.
It's just our responsibility to
Train them up.
train them up, walk through each season of life with
Yes.
them, walk through every change, they're going through
Yes.
life for the first time, just like you are.
Right. That's right.
My kid may not have ever gone through situation A. I've never parented through situation A.
That's right.
And as a parent now, I recognize we were going through it all together for the
Yes.
first time
Yes.
when I was a teenager. But when you're the parent and
No.
not the
Yeah.
teenager, you don't talk about that.
No.
You don't let them in on, I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah. No, you don't say that.
You don't ever say that.
You don't ever say
don't,
that.
You don't show your hand.
No, don't show your hand.
But I think if I could go back and tell younger parent Becca, one thing, I think I would just tell myself to keep everything, just simplify it and just have an abundance of grace.
Yes. Yes.
Simplify, like you said, you can still have expectations and you can still have goals and plans,
Yes.
but simplify what those expectations are.
Yes.
Just broad, here's where I
Well-
want you to, I'd love for you to be
Yes.
successful. I don't know
Yes.
what that's going to look like.
Right. Because the main thing, as much as we want all these, I'll call them worldly things for lack of a better word, the one most important thing is their relationship with Jesus.
Yeah.
That's the most important thing.
Absolutely.
Because if they don't have that, and we can't we can walk them to Jesus. We can tell them all about him. We can lead them, but that's their decision.
Right.
They have to accept Christ into their heart. And if they don't, then that's where I would feel like a failure. That's where I would say, darn, I failed.
Right. But you haven't. But you wouldn't have.
You wouldn't have.
But as a parent, I would definitely.
That's where I'm afraid I would feel that way, because like that verse says, train up a child in the way he should go, and they won't depart from it. Any advice that I've ever given any parent for their child that seems lost, don't give up.
Right.
Don't give up.
It ain't over till it's over.
It's not over till it's over. And God has promised you your children.
Yes.
So hold on to that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. That's very good. And again, just the whole grace aspect. It's,
yes.
You know, always give grace. You don't have to allow unhealthy habits. You don't have to allow.
No.
You don't
by
have
no
to.
means.
You don't
Yes.
have to. What's the word I'm thinking of? Enable. You don't.
You can't enable.
You can't enable.
You have to be careful.
Out of the. You know. You can't. You can't mask.
Yes.
Enabling as grace.
And there again, that's another aspect. You don't know what you would do until it's your child.
Until it's your child.
Until it's your baby.
Yeah.
That's going through the addiction or whatever it may be.
Right.
You don't know. You
Right.
can say what you think
Right.
you would do.
Yeah.
But
you don't know.
you don't know.
So you've got to have, give yourself grace.
Yes.
Give your child grace. And just, it's like I said with the whole communication
Yes.
thing, keeping the lines of communication open.
Yes.
Is, I think, the foundation, at least for me and my boys.
Yes.
Knowing that they both feel like they can come and talk to me about anything,
Yes.
and they really have.
Yes. You will hear conversations that you're going, oh, I wish I hadn't heard that.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's
they'll-
okay.
And they get comfortable with you, and then they get comfortable. Then they might overshare, and it's like, I probably didn't need to know that, but that's okay.
That's okay.
It's the fact that they know, okay, they have felt from me an acceptance and a grace that I learned from you. It's just a generational, trait that we're passing down, and
Yes.
I'm certain they'll be the same way with their children.
Yes.
But it's just remembering that the most important thing is getting them to God,
Yes.
making sure that that's a foundation in your life,
Yes.
the pillar that your family revolves around,
Right.
and then giving them the grace to get through life and not feel like, and like I said, the whole disappointment word, it's so reflective of how God as a father is with us.
Right.
As parents, we're not pleased with everything our children do. There are things we tell them not to do.
And
There are
they'll still do
and
them.
they'll still do them.
Yes.
But as my child, I still love them.
Yes.
And they're going to know.
Yes.
And I'm going to give them that grace.
Yes.
So, what would you go back and tell yourself as a younger parent?
I would tell myself to enjoy things more. Don't worry about things that don't matter. Like making sure the house looks a certain way. If it's pretty outside.
What's funny is Mom watched me for 10 minutes move the house around to record this.
No, it's okay. Because I like a clean house. I have to have a clean house.
Yes.
And I know just take in that and, okay, my child wants to color right now.
Yeah.
Let me color. I'll do those dishes after they're asleep. Make sure that you spend, and not that I have regrets, because I feel like we did lots of stuff together.
Yeah.
But, I think that's one thing I would do more spur of the moment fun. Don't give up your spur of the moment fun things to do.
You know what? I would agree with that.
Yeah.
And I think that watching you as a grandma, it's almost like you're making up for it.
Yeah.
And not that we ever felt like we didn't have fun.
Yeah.
But I see the way that you are with your grandkids and any kid, whether it's at church, you get all the glitter out. But if they're like, Grandma, can we play with Play-Doh? Sure. And you've got this gigantic box of Play-Doh. And then it's, hey, can we paint? Sure, I've got all these little paint things for you. Go ahead. And your table is usually stained with paint or markers, and
It's okay.
It's not about the mess for you.
No,
it's
it's
about
not.
the joy that they feel when they're there.
Yes. That's what I want. I want that at my house. I want
Yeah.
everybody who comes in to feel that peace, that joy.
Yeah, and I think they do. And I'm glad that mess is at your house and not mine.
I'm sure you and Brittany do.
Oh yeah, we do. We both do. So, but I appreciate you coming and talking with me for a little while.
having
Yeah, we'll have to do it again.
We will.
Again, this was for our Mother's Day episode, my Mother's Day episode, and talking about mothering through different stages of life and what it's looked like. So I just want to say Happy Mother's Day to you, and I love you.
I love you.
And thank you for everything that you've ever instilled in me. And you get to, we live right next door to each other, but you get to see the fruits of
I do.
how you parented play out in my parenting and Brian's parenting. So that's it. So just remember, in the middle of everything, in the middle of all your parenting, in the middle of all the hard situations, it's just important to remember you're not alone. No. We've been through it. Every parent is going through it.
Yep.
Every parent will go through it if they haven't already. So you're not alone. The hard times, you're not the only one that's gone through them. And there's more people that can relate to you than you probably realize. You're not alone. So that's it. So we'll see you next week here on Rooted in the Middle.
God bless.